In this lecture, we are going to discuss embedded database using SQLite and some database query like insertion, update, deletion, or other basic query on SQLite database using Android. The aim of this lecture is to learn how to build an embedded database such as save, update, and delete information using SQLite in Android Studio. The expected outcome of this lecture: students understand the concept of embedded database, what are the important classes in SQLite, and how to use SQLite in Android application. Most applications need to store at least part of information of application data. A comprehensive data storage strategy is a key factor in the design to avoid data loss. Data loss happens when Android runtime system terminate application component to free up resources. SQLite database management system is a bundle with the Android operating system. So let's see some important stuff regarding SQLite on Android. SQLite is our database, which is an open source database, so you can use it for free. SQLite is a structured query database, no network access, and standalone database. SQLite database is a local database, so it doesn't require any server or any ODBC or JDBC for query or connection for it. It's safe locally on your mobile device. Android comes with the built-in SQLite database implementation, so you don't need to install any extra library to use SQLite with Android. It supports embedded relational database feature. SQLite named as embedded database because it's forming as a library linked into application. All operations of the database are handled internally within the application, and a high-level structured query language used for data accessing. Android stores the database in private file of your application. Your data is secure because, by default, Android not allow any other application to access your database. C programming language is used to write the SQLite, while Android applications are primarily developed using Java. The Android SDK includes a set of classes are used to bridge this language gap. Android has built-in SQLite database implementation. It is available locally over the device, mobile and tablet, and contains data in text format. So it doesn't require any administration or setup procedure of database. These are the major classes in SQLite. First, row query. Second, insert. Third, delete. Fourth, query. And lastly, execute SQL. SQLite Open Helper class provides a useful set of API that contain simple methods for basic database operations such as read, write, delete, and update into the database. SQLite Open Helper provides two methods, which are onCreate and onUpgrade. The step-by-step for creating database helper is given as follows. First, create new Java class and rename as database helper. Second, This class should be subclass of SQLite Open Helper. Third, import the related library. Fourth, import the related method. Fifth, build the constructor. And lastly, create your database. For example, you can create database by following statement. Public static vinyl string database name equal to customer.db. Then you can create table by following statement. Public static vinyl string table equal to customer table. In order to declare the attribute or field, you can type public static final string table column 1 equal to ID, public static final string table column 2 equal to name, public static final string table column 3 equal to surname, and public static final string table column 4 age. Next, inside the database helper class, the constructor for this class has many parameters. You need to remove all of them and just keep the contact, and for the super, we need to add contact and database name. Inside onCreate method here, we need to write SQL query for our table. So this is an example of the SQLite statement. db.execute SQL create table plus table name ID integer primary key auto increment name tag surname tag age integer. Basically, we have a create a table, then the name of our table. Inside the bracket, we are declaring a column of the table. Yeah. For the first one is ID, the data type is integer, and primary key, then auto increment. So our ID will auto increment every time. Then name text, then we have surname text, type of integer, and closing with the bracket. Inside on upgrade, this time SQL query will be simple as drop table if exists and space, then plus table name, and after that we are going to call onCreate method. These are the popular method in SQLite Open Helper. First, get writable database, reading and writing from open or create database. Second, get readable database, reading only from created or open database. Third, close. It is used to close the database. Next is cursor. This class is provided to enable user access to the database query result. For example, close, releasing all resource used by the cursor, then close it. Second, get count, returning the row number in the result set. Third, move to next, moving to the next row in the result set. This is an example for adding data into database and displaying the data in the list view. This is an example of main activity.java. You can see how to initialize the database and how do you add the data into database. This is a sample code inside database helper. This is a sample code for displaying the data in list view. In this video, we are going to create a purchase assistant. We are going to create a SQLite database with a recycler view as well. This is the example. In the previous exercise, we have done the recycler view. Then we want to add the database in this system. Okay, let's say the user want to click Milo here. We can add the quantity. For example, let's say I'm going to buy 4 items. Yeah, add cart, add it successfully. Then we can see into the database by clicking view cart. So our data will be saved in the last of the list here. So this is our data just created. Okay, let us discuss in detail how to develop this application. So now we are going to start by editing the previous application. Okay, if you remember, this is the previous lecture, which is the recycle view. Okay, and then you can add the Java class. Yeah, and this Java class will represent our SQLite database. Okay, let's say for example, I give a name a database like this. Okay, and okay, let's say I make it class, only class database, and so this class will extend the SQLite open helper. So you can add the extend here. This one. So you can click this one. Yeah. Implement the method. So there are two methods, on create and on upgrade. So click OK like this. Add the object. Yeah. Here is a database name. You can type the data private static binary string database. This is your database name. For example, my database. .db. And you need to create the table name. For example, is a purchase item. And the ID, ID here is the column, yeah, first column. Then we can add the name, yeah, as the item, price, yeah, and the fourth column is the quantity. So in our table, we have 4 columns, yeah. which consists of ID, item, price, and quantity. Next, we have to create the constructor. Yeah. You can click this one. Okay. Here you can select one of them here, for example. You can see here our constructor has many of parameters. Here we are going to remove all of them. We are going to keep just this contact, so the rest will be removed. This. Then we are going to add the database name. Okay. And this is the factory. Here is a null, and the version, let's say, go to 1. Okay. Okay, we can declare the database here, SQLite. Okay, as the variable and the object is db. Yeah. Okay, on create function, in this function we can type the query here. For example, we can type this is the create table. Okay, and plus table name plus, and follow with the ID. Yeah, plus the ID is integer. Okay, integer, and it will be primary. And followed by name and the text, yeah, as a string. Okay, keep price, it is a floating number. Okay, so I can type real, comma here, and lastly is quantity. It is integer value. Okay, then you need to call the database, db.execute, and the query. Okay, here you can type db dot execute SQL. Next, you need to create the function which is add the data. So here you need to declare the parameter. There are three value, yeah, must be declared. First is a string item, comma, float price, comma, integer quantity. Okay, so we can call the SQLite database. db equal to this dot table. you can add the data. You can call the content value dot put and follow by the name, yeah, key name, comma, item. So let me copy this one. This is price. Quantity. Okay. Okay, this is. And we need to put the condition, yeah. If result equal to -1 means that the query is a fail. So you can type, you can pop up a message, yeah. For example, you can put the toast here, and this is the, for example, let's show else means successful, yeah, can be saved into the database. So you can. Okay, back to the second activity. Okay, here we are going to add the edit text and also the button. Yeah, we want to add the button. Okay, this is our layout. We have edit the layout from the previous one. We have add the quantity, yeah, which is a text view, and we also add the edit text here, and we add the two button. Okay, let us go to the Java file, yeah, second activity. Okay, so let me check here in the database, any something wrong. Here is a create table. Okay, space, yeah. What else here? Semicolon. Okay, so we can see here, we have modified the layout. We add the quantity and two button. So now we go to the second activity, the Java. Okay, we have to declare those object. Yeah. First is edit text, which is quantity, and also the button. Okay, the button here is let's say I declare the object is the btn, comma, display underscore btn. Okay, then we need to link between Java file and the layout. Quantity equal to edit text find view by id r dot id dot edit text 2. Okay, you can check, yeah, you can check it in the layout here. So edit text 2. How about this button? Yeah, this is button. Okay, back to the second activity again. Next is btn, yeah, equal to button find view by id r dot id dot button semicolon. So we need to set on click listener to this button, so we can declare a btn dot set on click listener new. Here we can call the database. Okay, database. This is the file. Yeah, this database equal to, let's say for example, m database. This is the variable. You can change based on your preference. New database. Okay, and this is the, you can call the class second the Java file second activity dot this. Okay, then you can call the function inside the database. We are going to call this one, add data. In order to call this function, so you can type the m database dot add data, and we need to pass the data, to this function. Okay, the first data is data 1. If you look at the data 1, it is an item name, comma, data 2. Data 2 is the price, but in the data 2, this is the float number. We need to save it as a float number, so you can type float dot value of, and this is data 2. So we are going to save the data 2 as a float number into the database, same as in the for the quantity, the quantity. So we need to convert it into integer, so we can call integer dot value of, this is the quantity dot get text dot toString. Okay, why we call it like this? So because we just add the quantity in this Java file, so whatever the user type in the edit text under quantity, so we want to receive the data, get text dot toString, then we convert it into integer. So this parameter will be passed into this function add data under database. Okay, we can check the string value here. You have to update this value, because we are going to save this value as a floating number. Okay, then you can run this application. Okay, suppose like this. Okay, when the user select these items, for example, so we set the quantity to add cart, added successfully. Okay, in order to check into our database, you can right click here. Okay, device file explore, double click like this, select the data here, select the data again, data, and okay, find this one, com.example.RecyclerView. Okay, this is our database here. Before you save as, you need to synchronize in order to update, and then you save this one. Let's say save it into desktop like this. Okay, done. In order to open the data in your database, you can use a DB. You can click here, DB browser. Okay, DB browser SQLite, you can download it. Yeah, so here you can open the database. Yeah, let's say desktop, this is the table. Okay, and you can click a browse here. This is your table, purchase item. Okay, click browse data. So you can see your data. This one just now you added, yeah, shampoo, and the quantity is 2. Okay, means you have successfully added the data into the database. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. See you next video. In this video, we are going to display all the data in the database, and we set the data in our RecyclerView. This is the example. Yeah, we can see here. Let's say we select these items. Okay. Quantity, let's say 4. Okay, I save it at cart. I'm going to save into database, and we are going to display all the data from the database in our RecyclerView. Yeah, so we can click view cart here. So this is the RecyclerView. We can see all the data from the database. Okay, let us discuss in detail how to develop it. We are going to create a new method, and then we are going to set the data in our RecyclerView. So here, let's create a new method. So this method will return a cursor object. Under database, click the database one. We can write here. Okay. We can press Alt enter like this. We can import the class. Okay. First, let's create a string query. Yeah. We can declare the string equal to from and the table name. Next, we are going to create SQLite database object, and we are going to use the get readable database this time. So we can type SQLite database, db equal to this dot get readable database and semicolon. Next, create a cursor object. We set as null here. We are going to check if our database is not null. It means we have some data inside our database table. So we can put condition like this. If db, okay, our the database not equal to null. And this is the query. Comma null semicolon. Then we are going to execute a row query, and we are going to pass two parameters. First one is our SQL query, and the second one is null. Next, we are going to return the cursor object. We can declare return cursor object. We are going to store this row query result inside our cursor. Okay, so basically our cursor will contain all data from our database table. Okay, this method read all data will be called inside the main activity, where we are going to use a recycle view as well. So if you look at the second activity, okay, our layout here, when the user click view card, it goes to the another activity and it will display all the data using recycle view. So you can right click here, new, select the activity, empty activity. So you can type display order. Okay, maybe you can type the database object, database my db. Okay, and let's create a for array list. First one is id. You can type array list, and this is a string. Okay. And the second array list is the item name. Third one is price, but the data type is a float. So you can type price like this. And the last one is quantity, which is integer. We also need another adapter to save all the data. Here I create another adapter. So right click, Java class, say custom adapter. Okay, back to the display order here. So we can type the custom adapter. And we also need the recycler view. So if you select the display order here, okay, this is the constraint layout, right? So you need to add the recycler view here. Okay, just drag here. Okay, you have to put the ID. For example, you can rename main display. Android ID main display. Okay, and for the recycle view here, you also can put the ID, Android ID, recycle display. Okay, back to the display order. Okay, so here you can type recycler view. For example, this one is display, semicolon. Here we can call the database, which which is mydb equal to new database, the activity, yeah, which is display order dot this semicolon. You need to initialize the variable. So here you can type id equal to new array list string semicolon. Okay, for the price, this is a float, and this for quantity array list we are going to save as integer. We are going to read all the data from the database. I create a function here, store data in array. Okay, this function. So I have to create a function here. Let's say void in array. Create the cursor equal to my database here, and we can read all the data semicolon. So you have to press alt enter here to import the library import class. We use a cursor object, and we will store the result from all data. So we read from the database and store it into cursor. Okay, next we are going to check if our cursor get count is equal to 0. That means there is no data. So we can put the condition if cursor dot get count equal to 0. It means that in our database we don't have a data. So let pop up a message. We are going to use a toast. Make tag. You can type display order dot this. We are going to display in this class. You can type here there is no data. Short dot show. We are going to use a cursor, move to the next method, and we are going to read all the data from our cursor. So we can put a looping here while cursor dot move to the next. So we are going to use this cursor to get the string. We are going to read the first column, which is the ID, and the second column is the item name. So we can add ID dot add cursor dot get string, and the column here, column 0. Okay, index number 0. Next we are going to read the item name. You can call the item name dot add dot. We use a get string to retrieve the data. Column number 1. Okay. Next, for the price, you can add cursor dot. Here we use a get float because the data here floating number float, and column number 2. Okay, and lastly is a quantity. Add get integer, column number 3. Okay. Next, we need to save into the custom adapter in order to display in the RecyclerView. Here, you can extend the custom adapter. Custom adapter. Okay, and then we need to implement 3 methods, on create, on find view holder, and get item count. So click OK here, so you can see those method. Next you need to declare the object before you create the constructor. For example, here private context the array list, ID, item name, price, and quantity, and also the activity. Okay, so you can alt enter here, import class, and here you can create the constructor. You can right click like this, generate constructor. So here you can select contact, array list, ID, item name, price, and activity. Then select. So the system will generate here like this, automatically generated your constructor. Okay. For my view holder here, you need to create a class. Or if you want, you can click this one. Click this one, create class my view holder. Okay, it will be generate like this. So you can add the extend here. Suppose my view holder will extend RecyclerView. RecyclerView dot view holder. Okay, for my view holder here, in this method you can add the inflator. You can type a layout inflator. Inflator equal to layout inflator dot from context. Okay, and view D. Okay, to differentiate, because in our file we have two adapter, my adapter and custom adapter. For my adapter, to show the item list, for custom adapter is used to show your order. So let me make it different. View display inflator dot inflate r dot layout dot. Okay. Here we need to create the XML file. Okay. Next you have to create a new layout here. Here, for example, you can type my display. Okay. You can select a card view like this, and then you can put the constraint layout. Okay. You also can add the uh, text view. Let's say a view here. Okay. Okay. Here, let's say you put the margin. Android layout margin. Let's say, for example, 10 dp, and then here you have to select the wrap of content, especially for height. If not, you cannot see the data. You only can see one. So remember, in your layout height here, you have to set as a wrap of content. Okay, same as your card view. This is you can type wrap of content. This one also same. Okay, okay. Let us see the design. Okay, so it will be wrap of content here. Your constraint layout only one row like this. Okay, back to the text. Let's say, and we are going to add a padding. Here. Android padding. For example, 15 dp. So suppose it has a space. So if you can see here, okay, in the text view here, there is a space. So here we have two objects. So we are going to design the XML file here. For example, we are going to display a ID, and also the item name, price, and text view. Okay. Okay, this is our design. So we are going to display ID. Text view here is the item name. The second text view here is the quantity, and the last text view here is the price. So I initialize the ID here, item name, quantity, and price. And this one is the ID. Okay, after we create the XML layout, so we can back to the custom adapter. Okay, so in the inflator here, we can type r.layout.myDisplay like this. And we need to return here new my view holder. And view D. Okay, go back to the my view holder here. So we can initialize the object here because in the layout here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, all the text view. So you can declare the object. This one you can text view. For example, id id.txt, comma, item name, underscore txt. Inside the my view holder, you can type id txt equal to item view dot find view by id r dot id dot, here is the id. Let me check again in the, okay, so here I type id, so you can type id like this, semicolon. Okay, next for item name text, equal to item view find view by id r.id dot item. Which one? Suppose this one, item name. If you are not sure, so you can open again my display, this one, text view, which is the item name. Okay, price item view. This is your price, and lastly is a quantity. Okay, semicolon here to declare a public main display, public view main. So here you can declare main display equal to item view. That's it. Let us check what's the error here, semicolon. Next, in this method, in the onBind view holder, we can type a holder here dot id txt. So we can type a string dot value of and id dot get position. You can copy this one. Okay, one more. This is item name. This is price tag, and this one is a quantity. Okay, this one I remove it. This is quantity. Okay, now we can click the second activity here. Okay, if you look at the second activity, especially in the here view card, so we need to link this layout in the Java file. Okay, we go to the Java file here. Okay, this one. We need to add the display button. This one. We have two button and display button. So I can type display button equal to button. This is used to link between Java file and the layout. Yeah. Find view by ID r.id dot. Let us check the ID. Second activity. ID is the button 2. Okay. This one. Semicolon. And we set on click listener. Yeah. So we can type display button, set on click listener, new on click listener. Here we put the intent. Okay, intent equal to new intent from the second activity dot this to the display order dot class. Okay, semicolon and start activity intent. Okay, for the public get item count, we can return here id dot size. Okay, next you have to go to the display order here. Okay, so we can type here custom adapter equal to new custom adapter. So you have to initialize it in here as a public. Okay, so you can call the variable custom adapter new custom adapter, and you can type a display order dot this comma this, and this is the activity. In this case, we are going to display the data, this data into RecyclerView. So we need to call the custom adapter, okay, and pass this parameter ID, item name, comma, price, comma, quantity. Okay, there is something wrong here. If you look at this one, okay, we are going to call this custom adapter, the class, our class now, display order, and so let us check the custom order, the sequence of the parameter here. Okay, you have to make sure must follow the sequence. If you look at the custom adapter here, yeah, which is a contact, array list, item name, okay, price, quantity, and activity. Okay, so we need to cut this one, and after the contact here, paste, comma, okay, suppose like this. Okay, context, activity, and the array list ID, and so on. So back to the display order. Okay, so it will be like this. No error. Display order. Okay, this is the contact, and this is the activity, and followed by this parameter. Should be same. Okay. Next, we call the RecyclerView. Yeah. RecyclerView D. We already declared the object here, so we just call this variable, okay, equal to find view by ID r.id dot RecyclerView display, semicolon, and we have to set the adapter, which is the custom adapter. Okay, and layout manager, set layout manager, new linear layout manager, and display order dot this. Okay, okay, let us compile this application, and when the user click this one, view card display the data from database. This function is used to retrieve the data from the database. Okay, and then this custom adapter is used to display in the recycler view. Okay, thank you for watching and see you next video. In the previous video, we have implemented RecyclerView. We have shown all the items from our database. Now, in this video, we are going to implement update function for our database. Yeah, for example, here when we want to update this one, okay, ID 22, okay, quantity 4, price is 12. Okay, so I'm going to update the number of quantity to be 88. Okay, it was updated here. Yeah. So let us discuss in detail how to develop update functionality in Android Studio. Here we are going to create a new activity, and this activity will be named update activity. You can right click new, okay, select the activity. Let's say here empty. Here I'm going to copy this layout and paste into the update activity. Okay, goes to the layout here. So we just copy all the layout back to the update activity. Okay, this one. So the ID should be different, because the ID has been used in the second activity. Okay, so let us change here. Okay, for the relative layout here, let's say I change into main display, and we are going to remove the image. We don't want to display the image here. Okay, so now for the item names here, let me change into item name update. So I will make it different. This one, price name update. Okay, this is the button. In the button here, we can change into update. Let us check. Okay, and then this is let's say we delete it here. Okay. For edit text, we are going to rename it to be update. Okay. Okay, I think done. Okay. Okay. Go to the update activity here. So we can declare the object. First is edit text, quantity update, and text view. Price. Then we are going to create 4 different strings for ID, item name, price, and quantity. name, price, quantity. Okay. Next, we have to link this one. Okay, we have to link this object in the XML file into the Java file. Okay, so we can declare here item name update, yeah, equal to view Okay, next is quantity update, yeah. And a button, yeah. Okay, let us check what's the ID for the button update here. Okay, the ID is a button, so let us rename it, yeah. For example, button update, and click yes. Okay, here you can type button update. Okay, now we want to receive the data from the RecyclerView on click listener. So we can go to the custom adapter here, okay, and then okay, on this method on bind view holder, we have to set on click listener. When the user click the RecyclerView items, yeah, it can transfer all the information to the update activity. So here you can put a holder, yeah, the main display, yeah. Main display is your activity update. If you click the activity update XML here, okay, and then in your layout you already declare the main display here. This is your activity update. So back to the custom adapter. So folder main display, set on click listener, new on click listener. So you can type intent, yeah. Intent equal to new intent, and this is we can call it contact, comma, update activity dot class. You will pass the information in the recycle view, yeah, to the update activity dot class. So you need to use intent dot put extra. Here you can type the ID, comma, string value ID dot get position. Okay, you just click this one and make it final. You can also paste another information, yeah, such as item name here. You just copy item name. This one also can copy item name. Okay. So next one is price here. Okay. Lastly is quantity. Okay. Start contact, the start activity and intent. We will pass all the information, yeah, from the RecyclerView items to the update activity.class. So back to the update activity.java here. So we can create a function. For example, is a get intent data. So we create a function here. We can type a void get intent data. Okay. So we put the condition, yeah. If get intent and ID here, and here this control statement just to check whether we receive the same ID or not. You have to make sure from the custom adapter here, let's say you put the ID, yeah, in this code here, you put the ID. So when you want to receive the data from the custom adapter here, you have to use the same code. So you have, let's say if you put the item names, here you must put the item names. So here let's say I copy, so I have to rename it item name. Price, this one is a one. We will save it into the variable, yeah. So you can declare ID equal to get intent dot get string extra the code, which is the ID. Okay, you can copy. Okay. The second one is item name. This one also item name. Quantity. Okay. Now we have to set into the layout. Okay. We are going to display in the item name update here. Okay. So you just call this one, copy and set tag. Okay. Next is a price update. Just copy from here. And then set tag. Price. Okay. And lastly is a quantity. This one. Okay. So else here, means that there is no data, so you can pop up those messages, yeah, those comma no data. Okay, so let's check the result. Okay, so when the user click one of the recycle view items here, it will display in the update activity, yeah, and it will show all the information of the selected item. For example, yeah, so when I click, it display the items, price, and also the quantity. Update not yet, so now we are going to add this function, yeah. Okay, next we have to set on click listener for the update button, yeah. So you can type here uh, button update dot set on click listener, new on click listener. We need to create the database function, yeah. So you can go to the database, you have to create a new function here. For example, is a void date data. Okay, okay, we have four data, yeah. First is the ID item and price and also quantity. Okay, now we have to create the SQLite database, yeah. DB equal to this dot get table. Okay, and the content value, for example, CV dot new content value. Okay, then we have to put the data, so we can type a cv dot put comma item semicolon this price comma price. Okay, then we have to write the query here, so we can write long result equal to database dot update table name comma and your contact is a cv comma and this is the condition, yeah, where the id, yeah, equal to comma new string id. Okay, when you want to update the data, you need a primary key. If result equal to 2 minus 1, yeah, and display those messages. Next comma, okay, comma once we have updated successfully, so you can pop up those messages here and you can say updated back to the update activity. Okay, inside the button update.setOnClickListener, we can call the database. So we can type here, okay, database equal to my DB equal to and this is the update activity. Okay, next you can call the function under database class. So you can type my db dot update data, right? And here we are going to pass ID, item name, price, and quantity. So you can type here ID, yeah, item name, yeah, update dot get text dot toString, okay, comma. Next is a price update. Here is a floating number, so you can type float dot value of. So you are going to convert this price update into floating number, yeah, comma. Next one is the integer value of quantity, text dot toString. Okay, this one is semicolon. Okay, next we can go to the Android manifest here. You can copy this one, yeah, same like the previous one. So paste here, let's say I put the order back to the display order. Okay, let's compile the application. Okay. Okay. For example, the first items, cola, quantity 13. I'm going to update to 7. Update successful. Then you can click a back button here. Okay, it can show the updated data. Now the quantity is 7. So okay, thank you for watching. See you next video. In this video, we are going to implement the delete function. This is the example of purchase item. When we click a few card here, let's say we are going to delete this item. You can click, yeah, and we can see the delete button here. If you delete, it show the confirmation, yeah. Let's say you click yes and then you click back button, then the data will be removed from the database. Okay, let us discuss in detail how to develop it. First, we can go to the update activity, yeah, in the XML layout here. Okay, so the next thing we need to add the delete button. So here, just below our update button, you can copy and paste, yeah, or you can go to the text here, find the button, So you can copy like this and paste. Don't forget to update the ID. Okay, for the margin top, let's say I make it 400 pp. Okay, you can see here, let's say 450. Okay, we can find the button, yeah, this button inside the update activity. We can set on click listener under update button. So you can declare the object here, yeah, comma, button, delete. Then you can set on click listener here. Okay, here let us check again in our activity update here. What's the ID? The ID is a button delete. Okay, okay, back to the update activity, button delete. Okay, okay. Inside the set on click listener, we are going to display confirmation dialog. So you can type the function. For example, I type confirmation dialog. Okay. Now we can add this function here. Okay, we can type the message here. And we can provide the positive and negative button. So you can type a builder dot set positive button. Okay, if we click yes, we are going to call the database here. Go to new. Okay, we are calling the function under the database. So here we don't create the function yet. Yeah, so say you can call it like this. My database, yeah, dot. Okay, this is the function name. So we have to go in the database file, Java file. Okay, so you can create a new function here. For example, a void delete row, and in order to delete the data, you need the ID, yeah, string ID. Okay, then you can call the SQLite database. Okay, this one is a get writable database, semicolon, and this is a query. Okay, this query we select the delete here, and we have to type the table name. Okay, and also the ID, yeah, the condition if the ID equal to, okay, comma new string and the ID. It means that the ID should similar, yeah, inside the table, yeah. Next, you can put the control statement here if result equal to -1, so we can display message fail to delete, yeah. Okay, else it means that we found the ID that we want to delete, yeah, and the process is successful, so you need to pop up a message using toast message, yeah. You can type successful here. Okay, now back to the update activity here. So you can call the function, which is the update row, and here you need to pass the parameter, which is the ID. Okay, and there is something wrong here. Let us check. Okay, this is semicolon. Next, we need to create the negative button. Yeah, so you can type builder dot set negative button. So you can type no here. So for set negative button, we just leave it as an empty. So now you can put the semicolon here. Okay, multiple. Okay, this one. Okay. Now builder. Okay, program. Yeah. Okay, we are going to delete the first items here. Okay, let's say select yes, successfully to delete. Okay, the data has been removed. Okay, thank you for watching. See you next video.